Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Laurel Highlands Senior High School. I'd like to direct your attention to the court. There is a special guest here this evening, joined by the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs coaching staff. It's Mike Irwin, Ryan Schulter, John Robinson, and Stuart Davis. Before we get to the Lady Mustangs, we would like to honor one member, senior member of the Mount Pleasant Vikings ladies basketball team, Ms. Kayla Bromall. Without further ado, we are honoring three senior members of the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustang basketball team. Our first senior, number 1, Maya Harris. Maya is being joined on board by her parents, Ernest and Marissa, and their siblings, Xander and Aliana. Maya has been dedicated to basketball for 13 years. In addition to her athletic pursuits, she's actively involved in the Spanish club and art club here in Laurel Highlands. Maya draws inspiration from her parents, admiring their hard work and support for their family. One of her favorite memories of Laurel Highlands is transferring year, her sophomore year. Her standout basketball moment was helping Lady Mustangs reach the WPIAL Final Four and securing a win in the state playoffs. Maya will continue with her basketball career and her education at Potomac State, where she's committed to play basketball in the fall. Once again, let's hear it for Maya Harris. Our next Lady Mustang is number 3, Righteous Richardson. Righteous is being joined on the court by her mother, Heather Fowler, and her brothers, Tavian and Tavon Richardson. Righteous has been a dedicated basketball player for 8 years. Beyond sports, she's an active member of the art club, Spanish club, and photography. In addition to basketball, she also competes in track here at Laurel Highlands. She knows the players, listens more, as she has been there for her that loves and has inspired Righteous to become her best self. One of Righteous's most cherished memories here at Laurel Highlands is winning all section in track. In basketball, her greatest achievement was making the playoff run when no one expected them to. Righteous planned to pursue her love for basketball and study forensic science and mathematics at Yale College in the fall. Once again, Righteous Richardson. Our third Mustang, Lady Mustang, is Ariana Sumter. Ariana has been playing basketball for 11 years. She's also a member of the Highlands Loyalty Center. Her greatest inspiration comes from her mother, who's always been a big cheerleader and guiding force in her life. One of Ariana's best memories of all Highlands is taking the bus to both volleyball and basketball. Her top basketball moment was winning the first ever state playoff game. Ariana is committed to Chestnut Hill College, where she will major in business marketing and continue her basketball career. Ladies and gentlemen, number 11, Ariana. Let's hear it once again for all our senior members of our Highlands basketball team.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The South Union Township Supervisors presents the South Union Township Sports Network today from Laurel Highlands High School. It's high school girls basketball as the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs take on the Lady Vikings from Mount Pleasant. Hi everyone, I'm Joshua Scully alongside Bill Dice tonight, who is also operating the camera. The South Union Township Sports Network coverage is a joint cooperative venture with Township Supervisors Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Vernon, and Jason Scott, along with Armstrong and Breezeline Cable and our friends at CUTV, including Gary Smith. Again, Joshua Scully and Bill Dice here with you tonight. Let's talk about the starting lineups for this game. We'll begin with Scott Hillen and his Mount Pleasant Lady Vikings. Scott Hillen, of course, the longtime women's basketball coach at Penn State Fayette. He is with Mount Pleasant this year, coaching their girls' high school basketball squad. His team is 3-13. The starting lineup for the Lady Vikings will look like this. Junior guard number 0, Morgan Jasinski. Senior guard number 2, Kayla Rumbaugh. A sophomore guard number 23, Riley Drozel. A sophomore forward number 24, Danica Trainer. and a junior forward, number 25, Grace Aringo. That's Jasinski, Rumbaugh, Drazel, Trainer, and Arrigo. For the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs, under the direction of head coach Stuart Davis. The Lady Mustangs celebrating senior night tonight, in fact. They enter this contest with a record of 12-5. Their starting lineup will look like this. A 5'5" senior guard, number 1, Maya Harris. A 5'11" junior center and forward, number 2, Ayara Jenkins. A 5'4" senior guard, number 3, Righteous Richardson. A 5'10" senior forward, number 11, Ariana Sumter. And a 5'9" sophomore guard, number 4, Taylor Swartfager. That's Harris, Jenkins, Richardson, Sumter, and Swartfager. And the Lady Mustangs do have all 3 of their seniors in the starting lineup tonight. Those seniors are Harris, Richardson, and Sumter. And the pregame ceremony here, which we were able to broadcast for you, was very well done by the Laurel Highlands School District. So we are now just about 5 minutes away from tip here. And Bill, of course, the Lady Mustangs are coming off a relatively difficult game at Elizabeth Ford, one that certainly they wanted to win. The Lady Warriors were able to sort of squeeze that game out, and that's a second time this season they beat the Lady Mustangs. This, though, Bill, is a great bounce-back opportunity for Laurel Highlands.
Yeah, Josh, the Lady Mustangs on paper look like the clear favorite, and I think, if we look back to the game they played earlier in the month, they won out at Mount Pleasant 62-22. So, you got to look for much of the same tonight. It's nice to see Richardson get to start tonight, on senior night. That's a game you'll never forget for somebody who typically comes off the bench. So it's good to see her in the starting lineup. And, gotta get ready for the playoffs. That's just a couple weeks away and not very many games left before then.
And Bill, you make a great point, and you remind me of something. Before the broadcast began, Bill and I had discussed the lineup as it has been submitted here at the score table and posted to the scoreboard. And we noticed on the Laurel Highlands side there was a number 5 listed, and we both assumed, at least I did, and I tried to, encourage Bill to this way of thinking that should be maybe number 4 for Taylor Swartfager. But as you make a good point to see Richardson in the game, I wonder if Richardson may be in Swartfager's usual spot, and that number 5 is actually meant to be a 15 for Taylor Irwin.
You know what, Josh? Now that I look down at it as the Lady Mustangs warm up, it looks like Swartfager is wearing number 5. So I don't know if that's a jersey change or something happened with her home jersey, maybe last game or something. Got lost in the laundry or something. Who knows? But she is wearing number 5, so it will be Swartfager in the starting lineup as that 4th starter. It will be Swartfager. We'll update our information here. She'll be wearing number 5 tonight in lieu of number 4, her typical number. The Lady Mustangs tonight will be in their white uniform, blue and red trim, a red number. For the Lady Vikings, it's going to be a red uniform with some white and blue trim. The Lady Mustangs will be working from left to right once we get this one underway as we describe it to you, and the Lady Vikings will be working from right to left. Bill, another storyline for tonight, and one that has generated a little bit of interest over the last few days, is in regards to 2 players on this Lady Mustangs team who are closing in on the 1,000-point threshold, Maya Harris and Ariana Sumter. Now, these numbers are not official, but we believe, largely thanks to Tony Hanula, and if Tony is listening tonight, thank you for giving us these numbers. And Tony, of course, is a statistics wizard, so we suspect he's probably on the money. But we believe Harris is coming into this game with 980 points, so she needs just 20. And Sumter, we believe, has 968 points coming into this game. She needs just 32. And given the success the Lady Mustangs had several weeks ago on the road at Mount Pleasant, we imagine this is going to be a good offensive night for the Lady Mustangs. Bill, you and I mentioned that, of course, prior to the broadcast. Probably the sort of game where Laurel Highlands has a chance to maybe score 70 or more points. Yeah, the Lady Mustangs should get on the scoreboard early and often in this one, Josh. And if you think about it, it really would be something if both girls could score 1,000 points on senior night. Together, teammates on senior night. That doesn't happen very often. To have 2 players score their 1,000 career point in the same game. Then again, being on senior night would even make this night extra special for both those young ladies.
Would really like to see at least one of the two do it tonight in front of a really great home crowd. The house is nearly packed here at the Harold Horse Taylor Memorial Gymnasium. Really both sides of the gym. Of course, they open on the bench side, one section of bleachers right behind the score table. It's relatively full, and the opposite side of the gym, which is bleachers all the way across, is also quite full, largely due, I'm sure, and thanks to the success the Lady Mustangs have had this season, and to the senior night festivities, which again were very well orchestrated here for us tonight. We want to take a moment and thank our sponsors who have made this broadcast possible: Smith Lewis Chess CPAs in Uniontown, Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law, the Sproul's Insurance Group and Agent David Hughes, SWGI Specialist, now a part of U.S. Digestive Health, the UPMC Rehabilitation Institute and physical therapist Jim Burns, United Bank, Laurel Highlands Girls Basketball Boosters, and South Union Township Supervisors Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Vernon, and Jason Scott. We're going to pause now briefly on the South Union Township Sports Network as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Welcome back to Laurel Highlands High School on the South Union Township Sports Network. Joshua Scully alongside Bill Dice tonight, and we are now going to see the starting lineups introduced onto the floor. We'll review those starting lineups with you now. The starting lineup for Scott Hillen's Mount Pleasant Lady Vikings will be Jasinski, Rumbaugh, Drazel, Trainer, and Arrigo. That's Jasinski, Rumbaugh, Drazel, Trainer, and Arrigo. And that starting lineup includes just the one senior, Kayla Rumbaugh, and the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs were kind enough to present her with some flowers during the senior night festivities. Again, the Lady Vikings will be in their red uniform with some white and blue trim, a white number. They will be working from right to left once this one gets underway. For the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs, 12-5 this season, under head coach Stuart Davis. The starting lineup for the Lady Mustangs will be Harris, Jenkins, Richardson, Sumter, and Swartfager. That's Maya Harris, Aera Jenkins, Righteous Richardson, Taylor Swartfager, and Ariana Sumter. That starting lineup does include the three seniors, Harris, Richardson, and Sumter, all of whom were recognized pregame. The Lady Mustangs will be wearing their white uniform, red and blue trim, a red number, and they will be working from left to right once this one gets underway, and the Lady Mustangs are in fact being introduced right now onto the floor. We want to remind you that if you are watching this game on Armstrong or Breezeline Cable, that you can also check out the South Union Township Sports Network games and programs online. It's easy to find. Just log on to youtube.com and search South Union Television to find the archive broadcast, or follow the South Union Township Sports Network on Facebook 4 live games. That's Facebook.com/South Union TV. And we want to thank our sponsors again tonight, Smith Lewis Chess CPAs in Uniontown, Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law, the Sprouse Insurance Group, and Agent David Hughes, SWGI Specialist, now part of U.S. Digestive Health, the UPMC Rehabilitation Institute, and physical therapist Jim Burns, United Bank, Laurel Highlands Girls Basketball Boosters, and South Union Township Supervisors Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Vernon, and Jason Scott. And Bill, now we're ready to get this one underway. Should be a great night for the Lady Mustangs. That's not to take away anything from the Lady Vikings, because they do have to play the game, but certainly the numbers and experience to this point in the season seems to suggest this is a good spot for Laurel Highlands.
Yeah, Josh, like I tell my middle school teams all the time, nobody's going to let you just walk in the gym and win. So the Lady Mustangs that come out and play, you got to think they're a heavy favorite on paper, but that's why you play the game. So let's see what happens tonight. We're on the Maya Harris 1,000-point watch and Ariana Sumter 1,000-point watch. So, that's something to keep an eye on. Get your stats ready.
That's right. We are ready. Hopefully it happens tonight for both of those young ladies. Jenkins steps in the center circle for the Lady Mustangs. Here's the tip. And Jenkins wins the tip, but she hits it directly to the Lady Vikings. This is Jasinski who comes out with it, and she'll keep it all the way out near the LH logo here in the middle of the gymnasium floor at Laurel Highlands High School. Now an inside look to Arrigo. Arrigo goes up for 2, no good. Rebound going to be tipped out and seized by Swartfeger. She'll outlet to Harris, and now Harris is going to bring it across the timeline. Working left to right are the Lady Mustangs. The pass goes to the wing to Sumter. Back to Harris, who thought about a shot. Instead, she's going to float a pass inside to Sumter. Sumter's going to lose control of the basketball and pass it out to Harris. Harris thinks about a shot, thinks about a drive, goes to Richardson. Ball back to Harris. Harris will reset the play back to the top of the key. Sending it our way to Jenkins, and here's a great cut by Sumter. And Sumter goes up for 2. Will not get it to go, though, and the rebound is pulled down by Trainer. That's Danica Trainer for Mount Pleasant. She gets the ball to Jasinski, who's going to run point, we suspect, more often than not. Ball pass to the baseline. Here's an open shot by Drazel. She misses, and the rebound's taken by the Lady Mustangs. Coming back the other way from a pass, Richardson to Sumter. Sumter loses the ball, and it's scooped up by Mount Pleasant. So far, no score, and we are to the 6:50 mark here in the first quarter. Both teams have had a couple of possessions so far. Jasinski looking for a screen, now working away from it. Swartfeger in her back pocket. Richardson going to double team now. Quick look into the paint to Drazel. Drazel wanted to go one more pass to Trainer. Trainer loses the ball. Harris has it across the timeline. Moves it our wing to Richardson. Richardson back to Harris. Harris nearly drawing a double team there herself. To Richardson for 3. And Righteous Richardson with the big shot on senior night to get this one started, and the Lady Mustangs lead by 3. And Bill, what a great shot for that young lady on a special night for her.
Yeah, nice shot there by Richardson to open up the scoring, and there's a steal by Richardson.
Richardson looking for some help. She's going to travel here. She had wanted to go to Swartfeger, who was cutting through the paint, could not quite get the ball under control. Great steal, though, by Richardson. And Laurel Highlands now going to offer up some pressure. Stepping out to send this one in is Drazel. Drazel goes into the paint to Jasinski. Now they send it our way to Trainer. And that pass to Arrigo was nearly jumped, but the Mount Pleasant Lady Vikings keep it under control. And Jasinski will bring it across following the pass from Arrigo. Jasinski to the timeline, working against Swartfeger. A little push off here. Gets to the baseline, then loses the ball. And this one's going to be awarded to the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs. 5:51 to play here in quarter number 1.
Yeah, Josh, you got to wonder the first couple minutes of the game. You got to wonder if there's a little bit of nerves by the Lady Mustangs. Big crowd tonight. I would say this is the biggest crowd we've seen here at home by far.
Oh, I would think so too.
So we got the 1,000-point watch in the senior night, so double festivities, if you will.
Sumter's going to pass out of the paint to Harris for 3 off the base of the rim, no good. Rebound going to be pulled down by Drazel. Drazel moves it away from us to Jasinski. Jasinski across the timeline. There is a good crowd here present tonight, and quite a few balloon displays present too in the gym. Some parents obviously did some really nice work getting those arrangements together for their players. Here's Jasinski up top working against Swartfeger. Going to move to her right, then gets cut off and pulls back for a deep 3. This one goes in and out. Rebound pulled down by Drazel. Drazel moves it out to Rumbaugh. Rumbaugh, of course, the senior for this Mount Pleasant Lady Vikings team. Here's Jasinski in the paint. She's going to travel before letting go of a floater. Shot would have been no good, but that turnover will give the Lady Mustangs another possession with 5:06 to play. We do have the Uniontown Herald Standard in the house tonight. They're, of course, keeping an eye on Harris and Sumter as well. And Bill, I think right before the national anthem, the entire Uniontown Red Raiders boys basketball team came in and sat down right in front of us. Here's a big made three by Harris.
Yes, there's about 7 or 8 of them at least came in all together, it looked like. So that's nice to see them out here supporting the Lady Mustangs.
Rumbaugh from the top of the key to Arrigo inside. Arrigo's going to lose the ball to Sumter. Sumter goes to Harris. Harris on the far wing. Big pass across to us to Richardson, who's going to launch a shot here. This one off the front of the rim, no good. Rebound Jasinski. This game 6-0, 4:20 remaining in the first quarter as Jasinski comes across the timeline. Swartfager matched up against her. The Lady Mustangs in man-to-man defense. Jasinski going to get a screen from Rumbaugh. It's a pretty good one, but a good trade there by the Lady Mustangs. Richardson moves over and picks up Jasinski, and it's going to be a pass attempted to Arrigo, but that one's taken away by Sumter, and then we'll have the hold. No, correct that. Mr. Levander will record that as a push against Arrigo. That's our first personal foul of the game. 4 minutes even to play here in the first quarter. Harris going to work toward us and hand it off to Richardson. Now a quick handoff to Sumter, who's going to attack and floats one up, and she'll be fouled. And I wonder if they got Arrigo again here at the end of that play. Grace Arrigo, the junior forward. And no, they're going to say number 24, the sophomore forward, Danica Traynor, is the guilty party this time. So Sumter will stand at the foul line to shoot 2. First one on the way, and it rolls across the rim and then off. Sumter here will look to make this a 7-0 game if she can put the second shot down. She's looking for her first point tonight. That one's just about perfect. And the score is 7-0. Here's some pressure, and Richardson bats down the pass by Jasinski. And she comes up with the basketball now on our wing. Getting some help from Jenkins now to Harris. Harris way outside. Will drop back, and she retreats to the center line, then moves the ball to Swartfager. Swartfager makes a little move here, floats one into Jenkins. Great pass, and Jenkins not quite able to finish. She gets her own rebound, though, and brings it back out. Here's Swartfager going to try the 3. No good. This time the rebound is taken by Drazel. Drazel gets it over to Jasinski. Jasinski across the timeline, flanked by Rumbaugh. Wants to go high post and will. To Traynor. Traynor going to lose the basketball in the paint on the drive, and it's scooped up by Sumter. Sumter going coast to coast, scooping one up, and it's good. And she draws the foul. And this one's going to be called against number 2, Kayla Rumbaugh. Sumter to stand at the foul line, where she has been once already in this quarter. She's 1 of 2. Make that 2 of 3, and she now has a total of 4 points. Again, we believe that puts her at 972 for her career. And this is going to be a foul, we believe, on Swartfager. And that's exactly who they get. Swartfager from behind reaching in on Jasinski. 10-0 your score. So, Bill, so far this one has largely been exactly as we had expected with 2:58 to play in quarter 1.
Yeah, the Lady Mustangs got off to a little bit of a slow start, but they got a couple steals there the last couple possessions, easy buckets. There's another steal.
Here's Richardson coming up with the interception, and she gets the ball to Harris. Harris is going to slow this down as she crosses the timeline. Works the ball on the far sideline. Quick pass inside to Sumter, and Sumter's able to finish that one off, and now she has 6. Great look there. We believe now Sumter needs just 26 more points for 1,000. And we got a timeout taken here, a 30-second timeout taken by head coach Scott Hillen as his team again faced this very good Lady Mustangs pressure and drew the trap there. We're going to see Taylor Irwin checking in for the Lady Mustangs as well. If you're watching this game on Breezeline or Armstrong Cable, we'd like to let you know that South Union Township Sports Network games and programs are now available live online. It's easy to find. Just log on to youtube.com and search South Union Television to find the archive broadcasts, or follow the South Union Township Sports Network on Facebook for live games, facebook.com/South Union TV. 12-0 your score. With 2:30 to play in the first quarter, 6 points so far for Sumter, 3 for Harris, 3 for Richardson. We believe Harris needs just 17 points. By our calculation, she is at 983 career points in her time here for the Lady Mustangs. This is going to be Jasinski across the timeline. Little crossover move here on Swartfager, but Swartfager very fleet of foot and is not someone who is easily left behind. Jasinski going to try her best, though. Driving to the left, loses the basketball, and this one's going to be awarded to the Lady Mustangs. Swartfager very wisely not reaching out for that one. We do have a substitution for the Lady Vikings as well. Number 22, Kendra Brunson, the sophomore forward in the game. Of course, Irwin now in for the Lady Mustangs. Here's Harris for three. Yes! And Bill, what a shot that was. The net barely moved.
Yeah, incredible shot there by Harris. We know she can catch fire at any moment, so she might get this 1,000 before halftime.
Rumbaugh floating up a shot in the paint. That one won't go. It's an easy rebound for Jenkins. She goes to Harris. Harris, touchdown throw to Sumter. Sumter wide open in the end zone. She gets the bucket. And I don't know if we have a whistle. Apparently we do.
Sumter with the chance for the three-point play the old-fashioned way. She had one earlier.
That is the second foul on Rumbaugh. What a take by Sumter. Sumter from the foul line tonight, 2 of 3. She does so much for this Lady Mustangs team. Shot on the way, it's going to roll in. Make that 3 of 4. And Sumter has 9 points. This pass nearly jumped by Jenkins. They wanted to go to Drazel on the sideline.
And Josh, like to joke all the time, we got a possible shot out here.
Yes, it is 18-0, by the way. Can't lose track of that with 1:33 to play. And Bill, I suppose we didn't mention this. I'm sure we both thought it. The one thing that might be working against Harris and Sumter is a huge early lead like the one they're building, which may require them to slow things down. And
well, it's going to require the running clock, the mercy rule. That's going to quickly speed up the game. And looking ahead at the schedule, the Lady Mustangs head to Bell Vernon on Thursday.
And we'll have that game for you, yeah.
We will, but we'd like to see 1,000-point scores at home.
Right, that's very true. Certainly the next game, you would think a candidate for both of these players. Here's Irwin for 3, no good. Rebound, going to be pulled down by Danica Traynor.
So let's just hope the Lady Vikings can get some buckets in here to keep it within 30.
Laurel Rummel also in the game for the Lady Vikings. And we're going to have a whistle here.
See if we can break the shutout.
This one's going to be called against Harris. And it will give the Lady Vikings an opportunity with Kendra Brunson, the sophomore forward. First shot on the way and good, and indeed.
There you have it.
Mount Pleasant is on the board. Mount Pleasant making the trip down from Westmoreland County today. Not a overly long trip by any means. Brunson sends this one on the way. This one off the front of the rim, no good. But we have a violation here on the shooter herself, having crossed the line before the ball struck the rim. Of course, the shooter and anyone behind the arc not eligible to come across their respective lines before the ball hits the rim. And apparently the far sideline official felt that Brunson did just that. So she's 1 of 2 from the foul line, and this game is 18-1. Harris to Irwin. Irwin coming out of the corner, gets the ball back to Harris. Now up top to Swartfager, who likes the 3 ball. This one off the glass, no good. Nice hands there by Sumter to save that one. She gets the ball to Jenkins, back up top to Swartfager. Swartfager will hand this one off to Harris. 20 seconds on the clock for quarter number 1. Harris going to try her luck here on the drive. Goes up for 2, and she gets fouled and gets the bucket. And what a move by Harris, beating Jasinski.
The hoop in the harm.
This foul's going to be called against Kendra Brunson. That's 5 fouls against this Lady Vikings team here in quarter 1. Rumbaugh has 2 of them.
I believe this is the 3rd and 1 opportunity of the game for the Lady Mustangs here in the first quarter. And it's good.
It is indeed. And the Lady Mustangs have been pretty spry from the foul line as well. Harris has 9. Coming back the other way, just 7 seconds on the clock. Jasinski going to the sideline, getting the ball here to Rummel. And this one's going to be blocked out of bounds.
Big block by Jenkins. Watch out. There's some kids over there in the front row. Be careful over there, guys.
A lot of small children in attendance, that's for sure. 1 second, 1.4 seconds to be exact, and this one's going to be tapped away by Jenkins. And that's going to do it for quarter number 1. 21-1. You don't see that score too often, Bill.
That's not a very common score in high school basketball.
That is definitely not. That's one of those kind of scores that it looks like maybe it's building to a scoregami. I don't know if you appreciate scoregami. I love scoregami. For those of you who are listening at home, scoregami, which is most common in football, in American-style football, such as the NFL or college football, you get a scoregami anytime you end up with a score that has never happened before in that particular league. So usually throughout the course of, let's say, the NFL regular season, you get a handful of scoregami per year. But it's got to be, at this point, after the game has been played for decades, you need a really unique score, like something along the lines of 43-11.
Right.
To get that scoregami. And this is 21-1. Yeah. On pace for 84-4.
Yeah, I think 84-4, I think that'd be a scoregami, Josh. But, like we said, once this gets up to 30, the mercy rule is going to go in effect. So I don't think the Lady Mustangs are going to be able to get up to 84 today. But they might get up to 44 at the half, though, or 42 at the half.
They may very well. I could see that.
They might get it before halfway through this quarter, maybe, the way they're playing.
And this is with them having started a little slow, too. First couple minutes of the game, not a lot happened. And the Lady Mustangs really started pouring it on here over the course of the last few minutes.
Yeah, it took them a couple minutes to get on the scoreboard. So
Harris,
21 points in about 6 minutes.
Has got 9 points. We think she needs 11, and we're pretty confident about that. And I'm sure she'll be recognized once she achieves that goal. Great look here to Jenkins, who passes out of the paint to Irwin. And Irwin out of the corner knocks down a three. Those are her first points of the contest. Great looking shot there. 9 points, by the way, also for Sumter in that first quarter. 3 from Richardson. And now 3 for Irwin. 24-1. Here's Rummel. Little bounce pass into the corner to number 22, Brunson. Brunson trying to get the ball inside, and Rummel is actually going to shoot behind the glass. And I think the ball made contact with the backside of the glass, which is going to result in a whistle here. And Laurel Highlands basketball. We might have Mr. John on the case here, Bill. Mr. John is at the score table, and I can't help but wonder if he's curious to see how close these two young ladies are to the 1,000-point threshold. Here's Sumter for 3 out of the corner, no good. Rebound pulled down by Rummel, and Rummel has this one jumped. She had wanted to go to number 22, Brunson, and Harris just took the basketball away. There is a whistle, and this is going to be on 21, Rummel.
Yeah, Josh, the Lady Mustangs, they got to be getting close to double-digit steals already in this first half with 6:54 to go in the second quarter.
I would certainly think so. A couple of new players, Addison Cole, the freshman guard, and Victoria Tepper, the freshman guard and forward for the Lady Vikings. Here's Harris for 3. Yes! And Harris has 12. And by our estimation, 992 career points. Here's Drozel. The Lady Vikings are still looking for their first field goal of the game. They have 1 point earned at the foul line. On the drive. And floating one up, no good. That was the freshman Addison Cole. It's a rebound for the Lady Mustangs. And they just manage on a brief miscue here to save the ball from going out of bounds. And it's Harris across the timeline. 27-1 with 6:13 to play. Here's Sumter through the paint. Drew some contact, no call. Arrigo with the rebound. And she's going to get this to Jasinski. Jasinski across the timeline will call out the play. Richardson waiting for her there at the top of the key. Jasinski going to work away from us across the far wing, now into the paint, turning and wanting a target off the body of Tepper. Jasinski has to save the ball herself. Still working against Richardson. 5:49 to play in the first half. Richardson nearly takes the ball away. Jasinski, our way to Cole. Cole seems uncertain, but gets the ball to Tepper inside. Tepper turning, blocked by Jenkins. Inside to Cole now. Cole no good, off the glass. And this one's going to be on the baseline, but we'll stay with the Mount Pleasant Lady Vikings.
You know, Josh, what's hard to believe is the Lady Mustangs, they got 27 points already in this game, and Jenkins is yet to score.
That's a very good point.
You know, Jenkins, she's pretty much a lock to go over 1,000 points next year, as she's only a junior. So that will essentially give this Lady Mustang 3,000-point scores before their career's over.
That's how you know you've got something really good happening. Trainer going to check back in, and she wanted to send this ball into Jasinski, but it's knocked away by Richardson. Great start for the Lady Mustangs, 27-1. At this point, the Lady Vikings just looking to get a good shot. Ball moved into Cole. Cole, little crossover move here, gets some help from a screen, nearly loses the ball to the sideline though. Now an inside pass to Trainer. Trainer twisting, turning, looking for help, still looking for help. She's closed out there by Irwin, and here's the steal. Jenkins going to pick off that pass. Going ahead to Richardson. Richardson drew some contact. And my question will be, is that on the floor? No, they said she was in the act of shooting. And this one's going to be against Addison Cole. And Richardson will step up to the foul line for the first time tonight.
Nice pass by Jenkins on that one to get Richardson to the basket.
Richardson, first one on the way. Looks good, is good. Lady Mustangs have been pretty good from the foul line tonight, Bill. They have just one miss. They are 5 of 6. Looking to go 6 of 7. Richardson has 4 points, and it will stay at 4 as that shot bounces out. 28-1.
You gave her the old announcer's jinx there, Josh. Come on.
Try not to.
Let's hope that's not the case when Harris gets to $9.99.
Right.
She only needs one more for 1,000. Oh, wait, can she make it? Oh, no. Josh just jinxed her.
Blocking foul called against Righteous Richardson. That's her first tonight. Trainer going to step out and send this one in from the score table. She goes to Jasinski. Jasinski working away from us to her right. Richardson with her step for step, little crossover. Now the screen from Tepper, and a good screen. Jasinski, though, not able to get any further than the top of the key. Ball goes to Tepper. Now to Arrigo. Little pass here. Floating one up is Trainer, and that is the first field goal of the night for Mount Pleasant. 28-3. Now, Bill, we can really start the NFL game examples. Here's a drive and a roll by Sumter, and Sumter gets that one to go down. She has 11. Great take there by Sumter. Those are her first points of the second quarter. Here's a block by Jenkins, but Trainer stays with it. She gets blocked again by Sumter, trying to get the ball to Tepper. Loose ball picked up by Trainer. Now to Arrigo. Arrigo passes into the paint to Jasinski, who gets the ball out to Trainer. Trainer going to try another shot here. Rebound nearly taken away by Harris. Tepper was right there. They'll say the ball was off of Harris's body.
That was a tough little sequence for Mount Pleasant there. They got their shot blocked. The girl got her own offensive rebound, then got blocked again.
Lady Mustangs, of course, very, very good inside. Drozel looking baseline to Trainer. Trainer fighting against Sumter. There's not a whole lot she can do there. Trying to float a shot over, no good. This one goes out of bounds off of Richardson's body. Standing room only crowd here at Laurel Highlands. People are continuing to file in, and some of them are just standing in the doorway and not even attempting to find a seat. Here's Arrigo, hook shot, no good. Now Arrigo's going to trip, and the rebound will go to Richardson, who feeds it ahead to Harris. And Harris goes up for 2, and it's too much. Off the front of the rim. Rebound pulled down by the Lady Vikings. Coming back the other way, this is Drozel. Drozel, bounce pass into the corner, and standing on the sideline as she receives that pass is Addison Cole. She's out of bounds. 3:27 to play, 30-3. Here's Harris. Running point. Moving the ball our way to Richardson on the wing. Now back to Harris, a little give and go look into the corner. Harris going to try the baseline. She gets steered around there by Drozel. Moves that up top to Richardson, swinging it over to Swartfeger. Now an inside look to Sumter. Sumter loves the scoop shot, and it goes down. She's got 13. 32-3. 3 minutes to play here in quarter number 2. Great work there by Sumter. That is the second time she nailed down the finger roll. Here's a pass to nobody, picked up by Harris. Feeding it ahead to Swartfeger, and it's an easy 2. And Bill, I think you called it when you said we might be looking mercy rule early. I think we're reading the tea leaves and seeing that here, 34-3. Tepper on the wing.
Yeah, very unselfish play there by Harris, too. You know, she's on a 1,000-point watch, and she gave it up to the open girl ahead of her, so that was very unselfish.
Great block there by Swartfeger, and then Irwin gets a block on Trainer, and Swartfeger ends up with the basketball. I agree. Harris could have pushed that ahead herself if she had really wanted to. Harris across the timeline now, off the screen from Sumter. Drives through, middle peg, kick out pass to Richardson for three, and it swirls down. And Richardson hits another big shot outside the arc. She has 7. All the seniors tonight for this Laurel Highlands team really getting it done in the scoring column. Here's Trainer floating up a shot. This one hits the support. And Bill, right now, if you're the Mount Pleasant Lady Vikings, as we see checking in Morgan Jasinski and Lexus Baker, you really want to just keep shooting. But oftentimes, when the Lady Vikings have got the ball in the paint, and you would think, okay, they're going to get a close shot here, the Lady Mustangs are so good inside, they're getting blocked over and over again.
Yeah, they're almost better off just shooting a 3 and hoping it goes in, because going inside, you pretty much have very little chance of making it.
Harris off the screen. Good look here for Harris.
See, Josh, she just needed to move back. That layup she missed earlier was too close.
Harris has 15.
I'm going to tell her next time she comes down the court, don't shoot the layup, pull up for the 3 if it's a fast break.
Coming back as Trainer.
There's another block.
Another block inside. The Lady Vikings really having a difficult go of it tonight. Sumter going to float up a jump shot off the middle peg. No good.
The defensive stats by the Lady Mustangs are unreal this game, Josh. They got blocks, steals galore.
And this one's going to rattle in for the Lady Vikings. A made shot there by Jasinski, but I agree, Bill. I think we probably have, coming back the other way, here's a rebound by Swartfeger. I think we have several Lady Mustangs who are probably working on double-doubles.
Yes, I'd like to have him on my fantasy basketball team tonight with all these defensive stats we're getting.
Brunson back in for the Lady Vikings, and for the Lady Mustangs, we're going to see Chloe Price.
It is 40-5 here, Josh, with 43 seconds to go in the second quarter.
Lola McLusack also in.
So the Lady Mustangs, they slowed down a little bit on their scoring pace.
Here's a turnover. This one taken away by Swartfeger. And she wanted to go ahead to McLusack, but this one is stolen right back by Jasinski, who was then fouled by Sumter. Sumter wanted the big block there.
Yeah, I think she just came down a little too hard. She thought she was back on the volleyball court there on that one, Josh, looking to spike one. In volleyball, we'd give her all kind of props on that, but here in basketball, that's a foul, they say.
First one is going to bounce out for Jasinski. Jasinski does have 2 points here tonight.
Is Manny still awake over there?
He is.
Okay.
He's soaking it all in.
Lounging.
Second shot is good for Jasinski. 22 seconds. Here's Harris, going to move it our way. Little entry pass here to Sumter, then back to Swartfeger for 3. And Swartfeger has 5 points in this quarter, 7 seconds. 43-6. Here's Jasinski. And a 3 launched up here by Baker, and a rebound that would have gone to Chloe Price, and that's going to do it. After 2 quarters of play, your score 43-6 in favor of the Lady Mustangs. We're going to take a short break and total up some of these numbers for you. When we come back, we'll share a halftime show with you. We're going to update, too, that 1,000 scoring plateau pursuit for Harris and Sumter in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the South Union Township Sports Network. Joshua Scully and Bill Dice here with you tonight at Laurel Highlands High School inside the Harold Horse Taylor Memorial Gymnasium. And your score is 43-6. If you're watching this game on Breezeline or Armstrong Cable, we'd like to let you know that South Union Township Sports Network games and programs are now available live online. It's easy to find. Just log on to youtube.com and search South Union Television to find the archive broadcasts, or follow the South Union Township Sports Network on Facebook for live games. Facebook.com/South Union TV. So the Laurel Highlands Mustangs have scored 43 points, and Bill, they did this in very even fashion, let's say. 21 points in the first quarter, 22 points in the second quarter. Now, we are going to be in the mercy rule, but you and I joked when that quarter started, we said, well, we could see them having 42 at halftime.
43.
And they surpassed that. Maya Harris has 15.
Good.
Maya Harris has 15. Ariana Sumter, 13. Righteous Richardson, 7. Taylor Swartfager, 3. Taylor Swartfager, 5. Taylor Irwin, 3. So Maya Harris, we believe, is at 995. And Ariana Sumter, 981.
Yeah, it looks like the mercy rule is going to come in to hurt Sumter here at home on senior night. So if you're not able to make it out Thursday night to Belle Vernon, we'll have that game here on South Union Township Sports Network for you. And she's more than likely bound to go over 1,000 points for that one. For sure. I would say pretty much a lock.
Especially if she even picks up a few more points tonight and gets anywhere, let's say right now she needs 19. If she gets that number into the low teens, I think you can safely assume.
I would say it's pretty safe to say she's on number 20 at least this game, with sitting on 13. So I would say, it's pretty safe to bet to say she's going to go over 1,000 on Thursday night.
The Mount Pleasant Lady Vikings have 6 points. They scored 1 in the first, 5 in the second. They got 3 points from Morgan Jasinski. They've got 2 points from Danica Traynor, 1 point from Kendra Brunson. Brunson, of course, getting it done at the foul line. She was 1 for 2. She put their first point on the board. And Morgan Jasinski also 1 of 2 from the foul line. The Lady Mustangs have been pretty good from the foul line themselves. They have just the 2 misses through the first half, and they've been very good outside the arc. And, Bill, it'll be interesting to see how quickly, and I do think we'll see this at least, it'll be interesting to see how quickly Harris gets these 5 points. She's the kind of shooter who could get them almost immediately.
Oh, absolutely. She has unlimited range. She's good touch. So she'll definitely get it here in the next, I'm going to say the first 4 minutes of the third quarter is going to be my guess.
We'll be curious to see, too, how the Lady Vikings respond here in the second half. They have already begun to go pretty deep onto their bench. We have seen quite a few different Lady Vikings check in addition to their 5 starters. We've seen Addison Cole, we've seen Lexus Baker, we've seen Laurel Rummel, we've seen Kendra Brunson. So they have already gone nearly 10 deep, and they do roster a large team, so possibly we'll continue to see others. Oh, and we've seen Victoria Tepper, so 10 exactly have been used to this point in the game by head coach Scott Hill, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond. And, a strong third quarter from them would probably not necessarily make this a game, but maybe build some momentum for them moving forward into the last few games of the season.
Yeah, Josh, I just think they need to build a little bit of confidence. If they come out having a decent second half, they're not going to come back from a 37-point lead, but, they might come out, play strong, finish the season strong. And as we saw in the pregame, they only have 1 senior on this roster, so they're going to bring basically everybody back next season. So, this is a building block here the last few games of the season for them for next year and beyond.
And they are, in that regards, Bill, a young team. They have started in this game 2 sophomores, and they have sent in several different freshman players, so obviously Scott Hillen can find some solace moving into this second half and knowing that these players are getting some experience against a very good Laurel Highlands team, and why not in this kind of situation?
And that's the thing, when you have a young team, you realize you're going to take some lumps. Laurel Highlands, they're a top 5 team in 4A girls basketball, in my opinion. And, they're here, they're fighting, they're competing, against one of the best teams. So, that's just something to build on and for the future. coach knows, hey, we're going to have everybody back next year except for one girl. This is an opportunity for us to get better. And maybe next year, they're 1-13 right now. Maybe next year they'll be 6-7 or 7-6 or something like that. So you just got to build from year to year. You're not going to go from 1-13 to 13-1 in one season, most likely. But if you make those steps in the process, that's the direction you want to head.
And even if you take that moderate step to a team next year who could be maybe in the ballpark of 500, you probably get to talk playoffs then too,
yes.
And maybe kick around for a playoff spot.
Yeah, you get to fight for that 3rd or 4th seed in your section, and that's the experience you gain from the playoffs. It's so valuable to these young ladies, young men, whatever sport we're in, really. So, if you're coaching out there and your team's 1-13, you're playing 6 seniors, then you really got to scratch your head a little bit, saying, guys, or girls, what are we going to do here? We're playing all these seniors. We're still getting killed by everybody, so we might as well, at least they have some youth, something to look forward to.
Hopefully for the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs, this sort of offensive effort is the beginning of a run for them now, Bill, because the playoffs are just around the corner. The Lady Mustangs have, on paper, a relatively easy conclusion to the season. They have played really the other top teams in their conference both times. And I would not be surprised if they ran the table, and if they ran the table pretty easily. And then it's playoff time.
Yeah, I would say they're going to go through these next 3 games pretty easily. They play at Belle Vernon on Thursday. They're home against Ringgold next Monday. Then the following Thursday, they're at York. All teams they've handled pretty easily the first time around. So you would think the Lady Mustangs are going to get 3 wins in these 3 games and get ready for the playoffs. And hopefully one of those games next week we'll have some bracketology for our listeners out there. It's always fun to start looking at the playoffs, who they might play and whatnot. So that's something else to look forward to after we're done with this 1,000-point watch.
It's that time of year. We're ready to resume here. The Lady Mustangs now will be working right to left, and the Lady Vikings left to right. The Lady Mustangs in their white uniform, the Lady Vikings in the red. And it is Harris. We believe Harris needs 5 points. That number's unofficial, but we have some confidence in it. Here's Sumter operating out of the corner. Inside look to Jenkins, and Jenkins is fouled. And this is going to be a Rigo, most likely receiving.
And Josh, we talked about, the 1,000-point watch and Jenkins most likely hitting it next year. Her dad, Dier, was a 1,000-point scorer at Uniontown. I believe you know him very well.
Oh, yes. He was great and part of a great Uniontown Red Raider team. Here's Harris pulling up from high post, and she's got 2 more. 17 points tonight for Maya Harris. Coming back the other way, the Lady Vikings pushing this one ahead. And losing the basketball is Drozel. She's able to get her hands back on it. Goes to Trainer with the pass. Trainer moves through, but will double dribble. And it's a shame for the Lady Vikings because there was a made basket at the end of that. But unfortunately, the double dribble happens first. Now Harris may be, in fact, just a shot away from hitting 1,000 points. And she's thought about it there, Bill. Certainly she's going to drive through and pass to Irwin.
She had me on the edge of my seat on that one. I better make sure I get a good shot of this, too. I don't want to miss it.
This could be it. Off the front of the rim, no good.
Good.
And a tie-up is going to ensue.
Just slightly short. Looked good from my view, though.
And Irwin on the floor there.
I think everybody's on their edge of your seat if you take a look around here, Josh.
I do. Several people stood up as she shot that. I know it's a three-point shot.
The whole bench did.
So I think they must know.
Well, I see a bunch of 1K shirts. So I'm guessing that's for her.
Right. That's Richardson following the turnover. Able to lay that one down. She has 9. Good night for her.
And speaking of points, this is probably close to Richardson's career high, if not already at it.
Arrigo going to float one up, and that one's good for 3.
The bank is open. Late night tonight.
Yes. Great looking shot there. And it's 47-9, 5:48 to play here in the third quarter. Here's Harris for 1,000. Off the base of the rim, no good. And coming back the other way, Jasinski hits the timeline. Richardson waiting for her there.
And remember, I said Harris is going to get the first 4 minutes of this quarter, so she's getting close to that now at 5:28 left in the third.
Arrigo moving it to Jasinski. Inside, taken away by Jenkins. What a beautiful steal. Harris to the wing. Here's the shot, Bill, and that's going to do it.
Schwartzfigger just came off the bench to congratulate her on that one.
And Harris has scored 1,000 points in her career here at Laurel Highlands, and she does it on senior night.
And with the three-pointer. I think I had that on my bingo card. Three-pointer for the 1,000th point.
Bill, you called it. It took her less than 3 minutes.
I was getting a little nervous there, though, with my prediction.
What a great shot. And head coach Stuart Davis is going to unroll a banner and give Harris a basketball. And Harris will join the ranks here of the all-time great scorers.
You know, this is such a fun moment for the team and Harris, of course, to go over 1,000 career points. It's just an exciting time, So, congratulations to her and the rest of her team also, setting her up for those. I'm sure she's been fed on a lot of those buckets.
Oh, yes. A lot of good passing tonight for the Lady Mustangs. What a great shot by Harris. It's really neat that she got to hit this plateau on that shot.
And I think that was nothing but net.
Oh, yes. That was a vintage Maya Harris deep three.
Yeah, can we call that a Maya Harris?
Yeah, I think so. That is her shot. And honestly, Bill, I know this game is a 41-point difference, but when we're talking about playoffs, which will be in the Lady Mustangs' near future, these are the kind of outputs that you want to see for them to be successful. Harris, if Harris can give you 20 points and you get Sumter in the double figures, and Righteous Richardson, who has played a tremendous game tonight, has 9 points, those are the kind of efforts that are going to really propel this team deep into the postseason.
Yeah, Josh, we talked about the big three all season, Harris, Sumter, and Jenkins, but it's going to be the role players that are going to win you tight playoff games, coming off the bench. He's going to get you a big steal, big bucket off the bench. And the starters, too. Schwartzfigger and Irwin are both very important pieces to this Lady Mustang team.
Yes, absolutely. Irwin and Schwartzfigger are difference makers.
And like I said, I truly believe those role players are the players that win you tight games in the playoffs.
We'll see what the Lady Mustangs are able to do in this postseason. We're very excited about that. Here's a shot from the floor by Traynor, no good.
I thought we were playing a game of horse there for a second. She shot that from her knees.
Trick shot.
I almost made it.
Sumter on the drive, no good. Arrigo with the rebound.
And we're now officially on the Ariana Sumter 1,000-point watch.
Yes.
What she need, Josh?
Sumter needs 19. So, Bill, given that those numbers were correct, I have to assume our Sumter numbers are accurate, too.
I would say so.
I can't imagine Tony Hanula.
And I believe Tony got those from the coaching staff, so
yes.
If anybody would know, I would think they would have those numbers accurate.
Sumter needs 19. Here's a look inside. Jenkins goes up for 2, no good. Sumter on the putback, no good. Gets another rebound. Battling inside. Ball blocked out of bounds this time.
Looked to be a foul on her, Mr. Referee. Come on. We're trying to get her to 1,000 tonight.
Sumter working hard. It would still be possible, certainly. Sumter going to pull up from downtown for 3. No good off the front of the rim. It's going to nearly skip all the way back out to her, though. And then Sumter will collide with number 23, Riley Drozel.
Josh, like I said earlier in the game, to have two teammates go over 1,000 points in the same game is a very, very rare feat in high school basketball. But it did happen a few weeks ago at South Allegheny Boys. They had two teammates go over 1,000 in the same game.
That would be cool. Well, and especially given that this is senior night.
Senior night, it makes it even more special.
Here's Traynor, makes her little move through the paint and kicks this one out to Arrigo. Back to Jasinski. You know what we have not seen much of tonight, Bill? I think have just seen the one timeout. Here's a three-point look by Drozel, no good. Rebound Jenkins. Jenkins pushing it ahead, kicks it out to Richardson, brings it off the sideline, now passes through to Irwin on our wing, back inside to Richardson, and then out to Jenkins, and we're going to have a double dribble.
Yeah, Josh, you know, you're a much bigger fan of using your timeouts in tough situations than I am, but when it's 50-9, you know, you kind of just want to let it get out of here as quick as possible if you're Mount Pleasant. Then have one girl get over 1,000 points and make you get out of here any quicker.
Yes, I've often had officials tell me, hey, look, I've got a varsity game here or there tonight. I need you to go a little lighter on the timeouts.
Yeah, it's kind of like your reputation. You're known as a guy who likes to use their timeouts, sometimes in the first quarter.
Well, you can't take them with you, Bill. Swartfigger.
They don't carry over from game to game.
They don't. Jenkins, high post jumper is no good. Rebound goes to Richardson. And this one's going to be a turnover, scooped up there by Jasinski on the loose ball.
We haven't had very many of those from the Lady Mustangs tonight.
No, we have not. I mean, they've played a very clean game, very few fouls on the Lady Mustangs.
Fouls, yes.
Just, I believe, 3 fouls against them all night. And this could be 4.
There's a little jinx there. Nice drive there by the Mount Pleasant player.
And this will be 2 shots forthcoming from Drozdel. Bill, I actually took a timeout today with 6...
Before the game started?
with 0.6 of a second left in the game, winning by 3, and we're inbounding the ball under our own basket. And I had a full timeout left, and I used it just to make sure everyone understood, you know, the ball needs to hit somebody. We can't accidentally throw it to no one. There's a rebound here by Jenkins. Score remains 50-9. And it's those little things, especially in middle school basketball, you don't get those exact kind of situations, and you certainly don't want to throw the ball away. And Irwin's going to be called with a travel here on the drive.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's a good use of your timeout. You know, it's a learning situation, in-game situation, in the actual game. You can teach, and hopefully the kids learn something as you're teaching them, not just looking in the stands or not listening to what you're saying. But
it's funny you say that, Bill, because I got a warning from an official not long ago during a timeout. I was trying to teach. Here's Swartfigger coming up with the loose ball, and I went out onto the court to demonstrate something, and one of the officials chased me out there and said, you don't have access to the court in that way at this time. And I said, okay, and walked back to the bench.
Well, Josh, there's one particular referee who's bald who likes to always warn me about being on a court in game. And, you know, at Ben Franklin, we don't have very much sideline to work with. I'm like, where do you want me to stand? And
right. Well, that's true for a lot of middle school boys.
But he didn't seem to like that answer. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do here, buddy. I'm trying to, like, coach my team, you know, trying to teach them something here in middle school, and you're yelling at me about being one toe over the line.
Here's an inside look, nearly stolen by Sumter. Somehow Drozdel was able to hold on to that. She gets it to Jasinski. Off the glass for 3, no good. Rebound is going to go to Trainer, but she's tied up by Irwin. And that's going to do it for quarter number 3. Indeed, a very quick quarter. For Mount Pleasant, just the made 3 from Danica Trainer. That gives her 5 points tonight. And on the Laurel Highlands side, keep in mind they came in with 43 points at halftime. They scored just 7 points. 5 of those from Harris, who has an even 20. And 2 more for Richardson, who has 9. And 50-9 is your score. We want to thank our sponsors who have made this broadcast possible tonight. Smith Lewis Chess CPAs in Uniontown, Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law. The Sprouse Insurance Group and Agent David Hughes, SWGI Specialist, now part of U.S. Digestive Health, the UPMC Rehabilitation Institute, and physical therapist Jim Burns, United Bank, Laurel Highlands Girls Basketball Boosters, and South Union Township Supervisors, Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Vernon, and Jason Scott. Special night here at Laurel Highlands High School, senior night. Maya Harris, 1,000 points in a really, really impressive high school career.
Which started at Uniontown as a freshman.
Yes, that is true.
Just
that's
toss
a good
that
point
out there, you know. She started out as a Red Raider, came across town, and has had a lot of success, and hopefully, you know, she has a nice long playoff run here her senior season.
Ball sent in to Jenkins. And Jenkins comes from the backcourt. Handoff here to Swartfigger. Swartfager, a little move, then goes to the sideline to Richardson. Now back to Swartfager on the wing. Another screen there by Jenkins. Swartfager floats up a shot, no good. And the rebound cannot be saved by Sumter. This one gets across the baseline. Well, Bill, I think it's probably fair to say at this point that we'll be looking for Sumter to score her 1,000th point Thursday night.
Yes, and we'll have that game for you. And we know that one's at Belvern, so the Post-Gazette can mess us up on the location like it did last Thursday against the Southmoreland game. So we do plan on bringing you the rest of the regular season games, and as long as we're permitted, the playoffs.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. This is going to be a very good playoff team. Richardson will lose the ball to the sideline here, but they'll say it's off the body of Jasinski. So the ball stays with the Lady Mustangs. Ball moved in here to Swartfager. Bill, what's crazy is given the mercy rule, when this game is over, the entire course of the game would have taken, including halftime, mind you, and the quarter breaks, would have taken around just 64 minutes.
Yeah, that's incredible. You know, the mercy rule really does speed the game up. And a few years ago, they changed the mercy rule from 40 points to 30 points. That made it happen a lot more often than it would typically, and a lot sooner in the game than would.
Nice move there by Jenkins as she draws the foul. Bill, believe it or not, that is the first bucket tonight for Ayara Jenkins.
I do believe it because I've been watching. I've been keeping an eye on her point total and just thought how impressive it was. They have 50 points and she hasn't scored yet tonight. But she really hasn't had very many shot attempts. She's kind of deferring to her fellow senior teammates tonight, trying to get their points.
Rebound goes to Traynor on the missed foul shot, and she gets the ball to Jasinski. 6 minutes on the clock here at Laurel Highlands High School in the Harold Horse Taylor Memorial Gymnasium. Great crowd. Everyone is stuck around for this one. Jasinski looking for a target. Cut off by Swartfager. Now comes our way to Drozel. And Drozel gets tied up with Irwin, and this is going to be Irwin's second foul tonight. And we're going to see a line change here, Bill. We've got 4 new Lady Mustangs who are preparing to check in.
All right, who's going to stay in? My guess is, oh no, I'm not even going to say it because I was wrong.
They keep Swartfager.
I thought maybe we'd keep Sumter in. Oh, no, Sumter's coming back in. No.
She thought about it.
No. We're going to have a hockey change here.
They do want Sumter, Bill. You would have been right.
I thought maybe they'd leave her in and get a few points, get a little bit closer to 1,000, but they're going with the all underclassmen lineup.
Arrigo looking inside here to Drozel. Drozel's going to draw the foul against Lola McLusack.
Which, you know, looking at the scoreboard, you don't want to get one of your regulars hurt here at this point with 4.5 minutes to go and, I can't even add that high, 43-point lead.
Right. That's a very, very good point. It is 43 points as it stands right now. First shot on the way and no good from Riley Drozel. And Sumter will check back in for Swartfager. So Sumter's on the floor right now with McLuskak, Price, Paschke, and this one is good. And Brooks, Madison Brooks on the floor as well. Madison Brooks, the junior forward. Paschke, the sophomore forward.
And Sumter's back out there.
Sumter is back in the game. Here's the drive from Sumter, and it's an offensive foul.
Wow.
And we're going to see a line change for the Lady Vikings, too. Tepper and Cole both back in. Rummel. And we'll see Brunson checking back in, and Baker. So here's a chance to see into the future, Bill. This is Sans Sumter, the matchup that these two teams may be playing in 2 or even 3 years.
Yes, absolutely. You know, this is kind of like a little look into the future. Mine Sumter.
Off the sideline, top of the key. Here's Rummel on the drive. Rummel goes up for 2, and it's no good. Rebound goes to Rummel. A little quick putback here is no good, and Sumter's able to get that one under control. 52-10 is your score. The drive here off the mark. Tepper going to pull down the rebound. And we'll have a tie-up.
It's going to stay Mount Pleasant ball. 52-10. There's our score, 3:20 to go.
Coming across the timeline is number 5, Alexis Baker. Baker going to move the ball our way to Rummel. Rummel wanted to go inside. Sumter's going to take that one away. Weaves her way through traffic on the attack. Floats one up for 2, no good.
There's just a lid on the rim right now for Sumter. She just can't get one to fall. You know, Josh, as I look down here at these at our fans, I see a couple kids down here with these Catch Cow jackets on there. I'd like to see you get one of those, wear one of those around. I think that looked pretty good on you.
I do like those.
And we got a foul in the three-point attempt there. Sumter a chance to break the seal. Get and march closer to the 1,000-point.
This one's going to be called on Victoria Tepper. And Sumter had been at the foul line a couple of times actually in the first quarter. First one on the way and good. She has 14.
Of course, we'll be back tomorrow night, Josh. I don't know if you're on any games or not, but we'll have LH and Uniontown boys. Uniontown will be at Mount Pleasant tomorrow, or Mount Pleasant. I'm at McKeesport, yes. Yeah. I got Mount Pleasant on my mind. I'm not sure who Laurel Highlands plays, but we'll have both those games on Facebook Live, of course.
I will be tomorrow night out at Penn State Fayette, where they recently actually just had a player on that team, on their men's team, take over the mark as the all-time leading scorer in program history.
I saw that. That's pretty impressive. You know, the program's been around forever.
He passed that mark up in the waning seconds of the game. We wanted him to be able to do it at home, and he was just able to pull it off. Had a huge second half and a very high-scoring game. Cy Jones, the new all-time leading scorer, native of Fairmont, West Virginia.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, and he's a great guy, too, so I was excited that he was able to get that mark. Great take here for Laurel Highlands, going coast to coast. That was number 23, Madison Brooks. Excellent effort by her. Rummel through the paint. Little bounce pass here to Tepper. Tepper going to launch a 3-ball, no good. Rebound pulled down by Swartfager. Under 90 seconds to go in this one. Swartfager across the timeline, 57-10 to Chloe Price. Price going to move it to Brooks. Brooks on the wing. Comes back our way. McLusack. Good look here to Price. Price going to walk this one in and a good bucket. And Chloe Price is definitely a player. She's a freshman, the 5'7" freshman guard. She's a player to keep your eye on.
Yes, absolutely. You would think she'll be in the Lady Mustang starting lineup. Last year she got a steal there.
And she's going to be fouled here by Rummel.
And Josh, I'm sure you noticed too, she went in with the left hand on that last layup, which was very impressive for a freshman player.
And made it look very easy.
Looked very natural, yes.
Just 43 seconds to go, 59-10. And this one is going to end up with Price again. Price moving the ball away from us to Swartfager. Swartfager floating one up, no good. Rebound goes to Tepper. Tepper loses that one off of her foot. Will stay with Mount Pleasant, though. Apparently the ball caught either Brooks or McLusack on the way out. And here is number 5 for Mount Pleasant. Lexi Baker trapped just before the timeline. That ball goes off of Swartfager's leg. 10 seconds here. Ball gets moved into number 4, Addison Cole. Cole on the drive, floats one up, no good. Rebound going to be pulled down by number 22, Kendra Brunson, but Brunson can't get the puck back, and Brooks is going to launch one down the court to end things here. The Lady Mustangs getting it done in all phases of the game. They coast to an easy 59-10 victory. They had 43 at halftime, Bill, so they didn't have to do too much damage, but they held Mount Pleasant to 4 points in the second half. Mount Pleasant actually scored more in the first half. They had 6 in the first half. Mount Pleasant going to score 10 tonight. They scored 1 in the first, 5 in the second, 3 in the third, 1 in the fourth. Leading scorer Danica Traynor. For the Lady Mustangs, It was a really impressive night. 21 points in the first quarter, 22 in the second, 7 in the third, 9 in the fourth. We'll take a look at some point totals now for Laurel Highlands. 20 points from Maya Harris. Congratulations to Maya Harris, who scored 1,000 points. She has 1,000 points exactly. And Bill, still a handful of games for her to build onto that total. I wouldn't be surprised at all if she finds her way to the 1,100 point mark or even beyond that when you consider in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we got 3 regular season games left and hopefully a long run in the WPIAL, then eventually the state playoffs for the Lady Mustangs is ahead. So hopefully we can get, 3 regular season games, 5, 6 playoff games, hopefully, and maybe more.
Right now, Ariana Sumter is at 984 career points. She scored 16 tonight. Righteous Richardson had 9. 2 points for Jenkins, 2 points for Price, 2 points for Brooks, 3 points for Irwin. Total of 59 for the Lady Mustangs. A great overall effort, and we're looking forward to Thursday night's game because Sumter only needs to do what she did tonight, and she will land perfectly on the 1,000 point mark. She needed 32 points. She got 16. Bill, any final thoughts for tonight's game? Really everything, especially considering it was senior night, really everything went just about as neatly as it could for the Lady Mustangs.
Yeah, a game like that, you just hope to get in, get out without any injuries and, stay healthy for the Lady Mustangs, and they did that. We saw Harris go over 1,000. We got to watch Sumter climb closer to 1,000. Hopefully we'll see that on Thursday night. But, Thursday night we're going to have a little bit more competitive game, I would think, than tonight. But, still last game I think they won by 20 points or so, maybe more.
I would think that it may be more competitive, but that may be good news for Sumter. That may
absolutely
sort of generate a need for her inside and
just lengthen the game a little bit, Josh.
Right.
The longer the game, the more chances you have to score. When you have a 8-minute running clock in the whole second half, that's really only 16 minutes of actual game time, not actual, So they have, a lot less opportunity to score,
right.
And
because the clock is running at times where the play would be dead.
Balls bouncing around.
Right.
Yeah, the game's a lot shorter than a typical non-running clock game, and when it's a little bit more competitive, you got to play a little bit harder too, and everything means a little bit more. So we'll see what happens on Thursday night, but we expect the Lady Mustangs to come out, have a strong effort, get another win, and continue their march to the playoffs. Hopefully get a decent seed when we get there, but we'll have some bracketology next week at one of those games, and I'll give a whole breakdown. I'm finally, I'm what they call a little bit of a 1,000-point guru around here. So I've been watching the Uniontown 1,000-point scorers all season, and Isaac Ellsworth, he's getting closer to that 1,000 points. He'll probably next season. He'll probably hit that pretty good chance of it. And I just keep watching Tori and Calvin climb the list.
And you have to wonder if the Red Raiders boys team can generate a deep run if Torrey Grooms does not get really, really close to the all-time record at Uniontown.
Yes, I was talking to him today. I think he needs 195 points to pass Terrence Vaughn's. And, if they make a deep run in the WPIAL and state playoffs, and, he has a shot at it.
I think he does, yeah.
And that's a record that's, first came about in 2002, I believe Terrence graduated in. I believe that was his senior season, 2001 maybe. And he had the record by 300 points, I think, over the second leading scorer. So, that's quite.
And when you look at that list of the people you passed up to get to that point.
Oh, it's incredible.
Some of the greatest basketball players that we've ever seen here in Fayette County.
Absolutely.
And Tori Grooms is right there. Maya Harris certainly among them as well.
Yep, she'll be on a 1,000-point banner out here to our right. I can't see it, but it's over there somewhere. There's not very many.
Yep, it is in the corner here.
There's not very many women on there, so
it'll be a great opportunity for her.
Yeah, she'll get her name on there. Sumter will get her name on there hopefully after Thursday. Then we'll start watching Ariana Jenkins.
I really do like
A.R.
the 1K
Jenkins,
shirts. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, A.R. Jenkins, you would think next season. Yeah.
I would say it's pretty much a lock. Then I was talking to her dad, Dier, the other day, and he, of course, went to Uniontown, so he was saying how cool it would have been if, she was able to play at Uniontown and have her name up there right beside his name. But, just have to go across town to see it in a different gym. But, still a amazing feat. Father and daughter, both 1,000-point scorers in her high school career. So that's something we'll be looking forward to next year for sure. But, we got a lot of basketball left here for the Lady Mustangs. I look forward to it.
And some very good games, we think, coming up when the playoffs roll around. We have that to look forward to. And, Bill, I do think I want to track myself down one of those jackets.
Yes.
I could only see when you mentioned it, I could only see the back of the jacket. But, boy, the whole jacket.
Yes, they're very cool.
That is pretty sharp.
Yeah, we'll have to see where we can get you on those. Maybe special order.
Yeah,
special order you one.
We want to thank our sponsors one more time, Smith Lewis Chess CPAs in Uniontown, Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law, the Sprouse Insurance Group, and Agent David Hughes, SWGI Specialist, now a part of U.S. Digestive Health, the UPMC Rehabilitation Institute and Physical Therapist Jim Burns, United Bank, Laurel Highlands Girls Basketball Boosters, and South Union Township Supervisors Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Vernon, and Jason Scott. You'll hear us again Thursday night when the Laurel Highlands Lady Mustangs travel out to Belle Vernon. Today's game on the South Union Township Sports Network has been a joint cooperative venture with Township Supervisors Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Vernon, and Jason Scott, along with Armstrong and Breezeline Cable and our friends at CUTV, including Gary Smith. Again, your final score, Laurel Highlands 59 and Mount Pleasant 10. For Bill Dice, I'm Joshua Scully. You've been watching the South Union Township Sports Network.